Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Women, Real Purpose Talk Show, live in the On Purpose Woman Global Community and Facebook page. Today, we're going to be talking about being on the big stage. I'm super excited to be here with these lovely women to hear what they have to say. I'm Kathryn Yarborough. I am your show's host this week, one of two of the show hosts for the Real Women, Real Purpose Talk Show. I'm also the global facilitator of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and the creator of the Manifesting Clients Academy. And today I am here with four amazing women. Sharon Svenson, you want to wave at us? Gail Dixon. Hey, Gail. Shirley, and I don't even know how to say your last name, Shirley.
Hubalek.
Hubalek. Okay, that's the one time I'm going to say it today. Shirley Hubalek. And Cheri Martin. Hey, Cheri. All right. So my friends, oh, there she is. She's waving at us now. One of my personal goals is to get on a big stage. I want to get on a big stage with over 200 people in the room. So I thought that it would be fun to talk to some of my colleagues. These are all people who I know in different ways. These are regular women, people, regular women, just like me and possibly you out there in the audience. At least I think y'all think of yourself as regular women, right? Nobody here is some superstar. Maybe we'd all like to be, I don't know. And maybe you are, and I don't know, so you can let me know. But all of these women have been on a big stage. We're going to find out about their experiences. And before we find out specifically about who they are and what they do, I'm going to ask them to tell us about their experience on a big stage, just the general detail, so we get a sense of what their experience was like. So Sharon, I'm going to ask you first. I'd like you to tell us about your experience in just a few sentences. What was the event? Who was in the audience? What were you there to talk about? And approximately when did it occur? I'm asking about when because some people might have spoken years ago. And that's kind of interesting, or it might have been last week.
Okay. Well, I have had more than one big stage experience. I was counting it up, and I think I've had over 30 plus big stage experiences in different capacities, from being a storyteller, telling my original tales and folk tales in libraries, schools, festivals, and fundraising events. As a speaker online, I was a coach with the Coaches Console, so I did webinars from anywhere from, it could be 300 to 2,000 people. And also as a fire performer too, that I have, to me, it feels very similar, whether you're telling stories, you're speaking live as a keynote speaker. I've been a keynote speaker before too, or playing the guitar at my daughter's wedding. That it all has similar qualities. And have I said too much, or to share my first?
I think that's good. That's good for right now, because now we've got a sense, and I had no idea that Sharon has had all of those amazing experiences. So bravo, Sharon. Wow. I thought you'd come on and say, well, I did one. So cool. Now let's hear from Gail Dixon.
Hi, everybody. I too have had several big stage experiences. Probably the first for me was as a lecturer at Purdue University when I was in graduate school. And I spoke to engineering majors on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings at 7:30 in the morning about speech communication. So my first big stage experience was in front of a reluctant and disengaged audience who it was my job to engage. Several of my subsequent experiences have been lots better. I have spoken to the Women's Prosperity Network unconference stage and done several online appearances. And the thing they all have in common for me is that no matter how prepared I am, and how much I think I know the audience, there's always a moment of nervous excitement ahead of time, and there's always a surprise in terms of the reaction and response I get from the audience.
I love it, Gail. Thank you. I had no idea that you had all of that experience. Wow. So for years, you've done this. Fantastic. Shirley, let's hear from you.
All right. Well, I too have had many, many, many experiences on a big stage. I've been a musician, a pianist, and a singer since I was a child in churches mainly. So I've directed choirs in front of gigantic events for churches and masses and things like that, and been the soloist. So, but I wanted today to talk about my first big speaking experience. It was a while ago in October of 1998 at a conference at a association called the Maryland Association of Adult Day Services. And the people who were there were health professionals of all stripes who worked in the adult day service industry. I was there to speak about my book, which was called I Can't Draw a Straight Line, Bringing Art to the Lives of Older Adults. So I spoke about how to develop and facilitate successful art programs within an adult care situation or retirement community, anything from totally people living on their own to people who have mild cognitive impairments. So that was my book, and it was a great experience.
Wow. Again, I had no idea, Shirley. Oh my goodness. The performer, speaker. Okay. Now, Cheri, I don't know if you're going to blow me away too, or if you're more like me. So what's the scoop?
Well, I have had a variety of opportunities on large stages, but two that really stand out for me is my very first one, which was actually in 2012. And it was on the Women's Prosperity Network stage. I believe it was at their 5th on conference, and it was a little different. And I was just starting to speak, so I was very nervous and I didn't know what to expect, but it was on a panel, similar to what we're doing here. And it was a social media panel. All of my speaking opportunities have been regarding the subject of social media. And that panel there that I was on stage with 4 others, and one of them being my husband. Many know me. I started speaking with my husband when we started our business. And so it was my very first time that I actually had to answer questions from the audience, as well as from Nancy Matthews, the hostess, that had us up there. And it was a little scary, knowing that I was on the stage and I didn't have any preparation, so to speak, right? You're just answering questions. And then over the years, I had lots of other opportunities with the Women's Prosperity Network on their stage. The second one that really stands out is I had an opportunity to actually get paid to speak. And that was with a group that took me to Las Vegas 3 times and to Hawaii 2 times. So that was where I had the largest groups. So cool.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So y'all were really the 4 best people to be on my panel. So I'm going to learn some stuff today. But before we jump into that, I want everybody who's listening to know a little bit about you. And listeners, I just want to say too, I invite you to post your questions or comments about what you're hearing here today, or about anything related to getting on the big stage or being on a big stage. What are your questions? What are your thoughts? Let's have this be interactional. Before we get off, I'll be checking to see what questions or comments we've got over on our live. And for the replay, I'll do my best to check back and make sure your questions get answered. So what I want to hear from y'all is, what are you doing these days? What's happening? Do you have a business? And I would like to hear first from Gail. 30 seconds. And if you want to share a URL for people, you can do it here. And also, everybody, I want all of you guests to be sure to put your information in the comments when we're done on the Facebook Live, so people can reach out to you. So Gail, will you tell us briefly about you?
Yes. Right now, what I am doing is leading the Heart's Voice movement, bringing together a critical mass of people who are committed to using the power of language and listening for good in the world as a counterpoint to the collective dialogue and the collective conversation, which seems so negative in the world. And I've just finished hosting my first live event for National Claim Your Voice Day. And we'll be providing opportunities to support people in claiming their voices for good in various ways. Best way to connect is through my Facebook group called the Heart's Voice Movement. And you can find us on Facebook through that search. So that's where I am these days.
I love it, Gail. And I was blessed to be at Gail's first event this past Saturday, and I had a great time at it. So thank you for all you're doing in the world. Now let's hear from Shirley. And Shirley, will you tell us about it?
Okay. Yes. I am currently an inspirational holistic life coach where I inspire and guide highly motivated, creative, heart-centered, and spiritually aware women to awaken, create, and live a life that is in alignment with their authentic and true selves. By using my unique process, which combines visual arts, music, movement, energy, and holistic life coaching techniques, women have been able to break through long-held barriers and discover and create a life that is truly theirs. You can find more information about my group, which is called Awaken Your Voice, Live the Life You Love, on facebook.com/groups/Awaken Your Voice, Live the Life You Love. More general information about me can also be found on CatonsvillePianoandVoice.com.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that was news for me too. I'm looking forward to checking out your group. If I haven't already joined, I will be joining that as well. I'm in Gail's group. And I just want to point out to anybody who's watching what an excellent job Shirley and Gail did with regard to speaking that last part about what we can do to connect with them. They did it slowly. They said their group's name, or I think a webpage name, slowly. I tend to rush through that. My Facebook group is Vibrant Entrepreneurs. Join me. Let's not rush. Here are some experienced speakers who are role modeling beautifully. Now, let's hear from who next? Cheri.
All righty. Well, currently what I'm doing, I'm actually venturing out solo. I have been in business with my husband for the last 24 years and just recently helped him dissolve his company, and I have developed my own company, the So Social Visionary. And what I focus on basically is I act as your guide to simplifying social media so that you do have an opportunity to stop that overwhelm that so many of my audience members get when I am in there and learning from them as well. But basically what I'm focusing on right now is group training as well as individual training and coaching. And as a social media coach, I focus on lead generation, strategizing on how you can use social media to grow your business, kind of helping them shift the mindset a little bit. And all of my information, I have definitely groups on both LinkedIn and Facebook. Those are my two favorite lead generation sites. And those are what I specialize in. You can go to socialvisionary.com. You can also download a free opt-in to help you gain more followers on social media. And that's socialvisionary.com.
Oh my goodness. So good to know about you stepping out on your own. I have known Cheri for several years. And the very first day I met her, she was one of the nicest people in the room and so friendly. So your So Social isn't just on social media. It is in person too. So I'm so glad that I know you. All right, my friends, last but not least, let's hear from Sharon.
Thank you. I am a law of attraction hypnotist. So I help people overcome, well, to get out of our own way, that we're usually our own worst enemy. So to let go of the mental junk that keeps us stuck in that limiting thinking and those negative mindsets, and to soak up through the tool of hypnosis as well as self-hypnosis, the abundant thinking, that joyful thinking that's really going to create that engaging, joyful, rich life that we all desire. So for example, my client Courtney, she came from no high school education, a dropout with a child, living in poverty. And then fast forward years later, she is retired and sailing around the world. So you can go to the Joy Space. That's my private Facebook free group, and you can listen to videos and nurture your positive mindset.
Oh, I love it, Sharon. This is so much fun because I'm getting to know everybody, even though I already knew them. I'm getting to know all of you better. I love it. So now let's jump back into this whole idea of being on the big stage. So let me read my question to you. First of all, did you enjoy being on a big stage? And if you did, what did you like about it? Sounds like all of y'all probably liked it. I mean, if you did it more than once, you probably did. But if you didn't, what did you not like about it? And would you want to be on a big stage again? So 1 to 2 minutes, y'all. And let's start with Shirley. I'll repeat the question. Did you enjoy being on a big stage? If you did, what did you like about it? If you didn't, what did you not like about it? And would you want to do it again? Shirley.
Yes, well, as you guessed right, yes, I did enjoy being on the big stage. I've been on stage for so many years that it pretty much feels like normal. But the thing I really enjoyed about doing the speaking for my book and the speaking I do now is that I could share my expertise and my ideas and things I developed with a larger audience. And that larger audience could then take what I discovered and developed to more people. And more people could use and the concepts I developed, or ways of, in my case, it was mostly arts programs. People could develop arts programs in various places with the help of my book, as well as hearing me speak. So for me, being on stage, I think in any capacity, even singing or whatever, is to make people feel better and to feel engaged with the arts. For me, it's all about the arts, really. Because the arts are really a healing modality, all of the arts. And I'm very passionate to get that message out to the world, to use the arts and other modalities to heal and just love your life more. So that's why I enjoyed it. And yes, I would love to be a speaker once again on a big stage.
You know, it's so interesting, that feeling. I've been on smaller stages. I've had like 50 people in the room, and that feeling of engagement and connection, for me, nothing beats it. I can only imagine what it's like when there's 200 or 300 or more people in the room. It must be like, I want to say heaven. And I know that people who are scared of speaking, that's not where they're at. That's probably not what they would think. But anyhow, let's hear from more people. Did you enjoy being on a big stage? You heard the whole question. If you did, what'd you like? If you didn't, what did you not like about it? Do you want to do it again, Cheri?
Oh gosh, yes, I love the stage. In fact, I think I have a chapter in a compilation book about going from the softball diamond to a diamond in rough on stage. I mean, it was such a transition, and I've learned over the years. And I think that's the one thing I love the most is I believe I've really learned how to own my value by being on stage. Not so much saying I'm an expert, but to know that I'm up there to share value, to make an impact for those in the audience. And that is very meaningful to me, whether it's a small group or those large audiences. And yes, it's scary. Like I said, that very first time I was on that big stage on a panel I was just starting out as, my was my baby step into speaking. I was always behind the scenes when my husband and I were teaching, and I'm a teacher. So I've had to really learn a different style of speaking. And that way I'm able to really share information with the audience that they can take and implement. That's my biggest focus and my biggest purpose when I'm on stage, is to give them something they can take away and implement and make a difference for their business. And as I said, I speak on social media marketing, have been doing that for a number of years, but every time I'm on stage, I do things differently. I listen to what the audience's needs are. And sure, I would love to get back on stage. I had an opportunity during the pandemic to be on stages, a keynote, so much different. Go back to what you said, Kathryn, it's about connecting. I love to connect with the audience.
Wow. And I hear the teacher part of you that loves to impart information and tools that people can use. So, okay, so we've got engaging, we've got connecting, we've got inspiring, we've got making a ripple that Shirley talked about, and Cheri, you're talking about teaching and making impact. Well, this is so cool. I love it. Now, let's hear from Sharon. Sharon, you heard the question. Did you enjoy being on a big stage? If you did, what'd you like about it? If you didn't, what did you not like about it? How fast can I say this? Would you want to do it again?
All right. So yes and no. What I loved what Shirley said and Cheri said, and I would also say yes to those beautiful points. To me, a big part of what I loved on being on a big stage was that opportunity for me to move past the fears and anxieties and to let go of letting an audience or other people dictate where I was going to put my focus. So it really allowed me to let go of what other people think. So what I found is when I did that, when I just focused in on bringing a story alive to others, or just focused on the message that I wanted to share, that what I loved about it is some people resonated and some people didn't, and to not take that personally. But it is so magical when you're in a place where you can feel that they're with you, and it may not be everybody in the audience, but you can feel this big energy and you're in that place of flow. But also I've been in that place where maybe the majority of the audience isn't with me, and it feels really empowering too when I'm in that place of flow anyway. And if it's being recorded, I found too that people, it's like I got that beautiful response back. So, but I hate feeling anxious and fearful. So that's why I don't like to be on the big stage, because I do have to show up for my fears. I do have to move past them. And that, I think, at least for me, no matter what, those fears and anxieties can still come up, especially if it's new people, a different situation, a different venue. So does that answer the question?
I love your answer. So is your bottom line, no, you don't want to do it again because of the fears and
Oh,
okay. All right.
Yeah, and it is so satisfying and I'm in the flow, but I still bombed. I've still gone to that place even years later, where it's like, wow, I was in the zone and the magic place. But just to let others know, it is so worth it. Even if you have your bombs, it is so worth it. Yeah, all the beautiful things that you get from it.
Well, thank you, Sharon, for truthfully sharing the fears and anxieties, because I know for me, even now, I can sometimes, even for a small group, especially if it's new content, new something, I can get the little nervousness. I've actually discovered that I don't think I'm nervous like a few days before, but I'm like rushing to make sure I have it all and I'm prepared. And I'm in this sort of like not comfortable with myself world. And I'm beginning to realize that's how my nervousness shows up. So interesting. Anyway, let's move on. We got to hear from everybody. We've got so much that I want to find out. All right. So Gail, did you enjoy being on a big stage? If you did, what did you like about it? If not, what did you not like about it? Would you want to do it again?
Well, I did, and every experience is different, so there were varying degrees of enjoyment. I will say that what I enjoyed most was seeing or feeling, because depending on the size of the audience, you can't see everybody, seeing or feeling that lean in and that moment of aha that said I had awakened something in someone. That was the important thing. One thing I didn't enjoy was following somebody who just knocked my socks off, because I tended to get myself into that icky place of comparison, or because I really wanted to soak in their message and I didn't have time to take it in. So sometimes when you are appearing where speeches are layered on top of each other, there is an experience where your own connection with other speakers can make your experience of your own speaking more difficult. So the good thing is the blessing of being on the stage with really powerful speakers, and the joy of association with folks, and the honor of sharing the stage with them. And that goes back to what Cheri said about that's an opportunity to own and stand in your own value.
Beautiful. Thank you for bringing all of that. And that's a question that I've had for myself. Oh my goodness, what if I get invited to an event and there are these other good speakers and I've got to wait all day till I get to speak? How will I tolerate all those experiences and feelings inside? So anyhow, I have an answer for myself right now, what I think I'm pretty sure I will do, but I'll keep that to myself. And I want to know, what advice do you have for anyone who wants to get on a big stage? I don't care what your advice is, whether it's about getting on the big stage, being on the big stage, dealing with the feelings after, dealing with the feelings before, like I was just talking about. What advice do you have? Cheri Martin.
Oh gosh, I think the first thing I'll say is very similar to what all of us have already mentioned, is that understand that it's normal to feel anxiety and some fear coming up for you before you get on stage, and even when you're on stage. That's normal, and all speakers have this happen. The individuals I've learned speaking from have shared this with me, that they too have these things happen. And some of the things they do before they come on stage is they just take some deep breaths, they get in their zone. And I'm like, yeah, I've been on the stage, I've shared the stage with Gail, she's phenomenal. So it's a little scary when you have other speakers up there that are seasoned and you look up to, and they're, Gail's been one of my mentors and a coach. So sometimes it's really a little scary and frightening. So I'd say that's normal. Just let it, get aligned in yourself, find yourself. And also I just want to always research your audience, know who your audience is, and also let your audience get to know you when you're up on stage. They need to feel that authentic feel from you. They need to understand who you are so that they can then really understand your message. Those would be the things I would offer.
I really appreciate what you're saying, Cheri, and let your audience know you. I've learned a lot about that whole section in a presentation where you talk about yourself so that people think of you as an expert. But I really like what you just said. What matters is that we let our audience know us so that there's that connection. Much better energy around that. Thank you for that.
Being that authentic self. And I was on stage once. I usually speak on social media, and just briefly, I went up and did like almost a TED style talk on one of the WPN stages. I was a nervous wreck because I was vulnerable. That was scary. That was frightening. Yeah.
Okay. So Sharon, what advice do you have for anyone who wants to get on a big stage?
Well, I loved Cheri's advice to recognize it's so normal to have those negative emotions crop up and the anxiety, and to remind yourself it's temporary. And I use different tools like self-hypnosis because I'm a hypnotist, to ground myself and go past those fears and really focus in on what your intent is, what you want to deliver. So practice that. I know your material and let it be okay if you lose your train of thought. If you know your material, you can get back to it. Where, like Cheri was saying, being authentic. And to give yourself permission to make the mistakes, but don't think that that's going to ruin everything. Because I know sometimes I go to the place of, oh, this is going to make or break me. And it's not. So to give yourself permission to be human, to make mistakes, and practice, and know your material, not from a memorized place, but you know it within you from your heart. And then all you have to do is connect back with your heart, and it's going to take you right back on track. So very similar to what Cheri was saying too.
That is so beautiful, Sharon. Know your material in your heart, not in your head. Yes, your head needs to be involved, but when we know it here, reason why we're there, going, I'm just going to mute. I think there's a little extra noise there. So beautiful. Thank you. I love it. Now, what advice do you have, Gail?
3 things, Kathryn. One is, don't wait for the invitation, seek the opportunity. You know, I used to think if people knew me, they'd invite me. Well, no, you have to seek the opportunity. The second is, believe you can make the opportunity. You know, I just created my event. I didn't have to wait for anybody. A third thing is to be selective about speaking to aligned audiences. Go where they're already ready to receive what you have to offer. Don't be pushing the boulder up the hill. Be inviting people onto the mountaintop with you. And that, you know, I have, having spoken to that reluctant engineering audience, what I learned is that takes so much effort for so little engagement that that's not where I want to spend my time. And there are people out there who are ready to hear what you have to offer. So speak to them.
Wow. Oh, yeah, I'm unmuted. Thank you so much. So this was a good answer for any of us looking for opportunities. I'm going to repeat what you said. Seek the opportunity. Don't wait to be asked. Believe you can make the opportunity, that people will want you to be on their stage, basically, and be selective that you're choosing opportunities that are where your people already are. So don't just go anywhere just to speak. I love it. Thank you for those suggestions. And last but not least, I'm going to hear from Shirley. And folks, if you're watching this live, I'm going to be checking for questions. So please post your questions, post your comments. And Shirley, what advice do you have for anyone who's listening?
Well, the other ladies have definitely covered most of the tips I had, but I would agree with everything they said. I think one of the things for me is, I think would help anyone, is to really be passionate about the subject you're going to talk about. Because I have found if I'm really passionate about something, my heart automatically gets engaged because I am passionate about it. So, and also for people seeking, I would say, learn absolutely as much as you can about speaking. Join Toastmasters, join wherever you need to join to practice that. Broaden your horizons, get to know people more, and just going to places where you don't know people actually has helped me tremendously in speaking, to just be able to go up to people and start talking to people. it has helped me be much more relaxed on stage. I can't say this enough. Prepare, rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Even if you have to memorize stuff at the beginning, it will come in there. And for me, that is the key to helping those nerves before I get on. If I feel like I have done my work, I may be nervous, but as soon as I step out there, open my mouth, it just comes back to me. So, what I do before I do a presentation or sing or whatever, I just do a brief grounding exercise to just bring my energy right where I am. And I actually look myself in a mirror and smile at myself. And that helps me a lot. So that's my advice.
I absolutely love it. I love everybody's advice. And I just want to say I love the be passionate and I love the prepare, practice. I think Sharon spoke about that. And I have to tell y'all, I prepared for this. I mean, even this, and I thought about it as I was preparing for it and actually practicing what I was saying in the beginning so that it could flow better than if I was just looking at my notes and reading everything. You know, I don't like to do that, even though I did read a bit. And it just makes such a difference. And I thought, this is it. If I want to be a good speaker, prepare for any opportunity that you have. Any opportunity, show up 100% to the best of your ability. So I'm going to have one more question for y'all, but before we do that, I am going over to our comments. And I'm just going to read some of them. I don't know that I see any questions here, but let me just say, Donna said greetings. Faye said hello. Donna said, Gail, that's great. Way back 25 minutes ago, I think, or I'm not exactly sure. I can't read. I can't figure this out. Faye said, that sounds awesome. So I don't know what she was talking about, but terrific, Shirley. Such good energy, Shirley, from Donna. We got a clap from Marva. Sandra said, your passion is contagious. Donna said, can share the name of the person who works with social media. Yes, social media is Cheri Martin. So Cheri Martin is the person here who is working with social media. And she'll be back and she will put her information. Everybody's going to put their information in the comments when we're done. Marva said, awesome talk, ladies. And also, passion is so important. Thank you so much for all of your comments. And I'm going to go back over here and check to see what great last question I want to ask and have y'all share here. Okay. All right, here we go, ladies. When or if, but most likely when, you have an opportunity to be on a big stage again, what advice do you have for yourself for that future experience? So I'll just go ahead and go around the room. Sharon, will you answer that?
Well, my advice to myself would be practice. As always, I do my self-hypnosis techniques, and to remind myself, fear and anxiety is normal. This will pass. I have seen where I would go from, with my storytelling performances, fixating and being in this tense state for a week ahead of time. And then it was just a couple of days ahead of time. And then it was a couple of hours. And now sometimes it's like, remember, you can just put off your stress and anxiety till later. So now sometimes it's only 10 or 15 minutes ahead of time, or even minutes ahead of time. But I know if I speak from my heart, that's going to pass and I can get into that flow. So
Beautiful.
I will remind myself of all that stuff.
So I love it. Thank you so much. And what's so cool is the advice that we have for others is often the advice we have for ourselves. So I invite all of us to take all this wisdom from these women, and then you'll find your own advice probably as you move forward. I know that's what I'm doing, but still I'm learning, ladies. So Gail, will you tell us, when you have an opportunity to be on a big stage again, what advice do you have for yourself?
Two things. One is remember that you're speaking to serve, and so be in the servant's heart. Be making an offer, not a performance. And the second is just to stay aligned in the heart. What Sharon said is so important, because you can't be a wrong you. And as long as you are on that stage being you, that's what's important.
Mm, mm. Powerful words. I've really heard all of it, but you're making an offer, not a performance. It just touches me around, I'm here to connect with these people, not just entertain them, because I can be an entertainer. So there is a certain level of performance in my presentations. And I'm more and more calling up that feeling of offer that you speak to. Thank you for your wisdom. Seriously, all of you. All right. Shirley, what advice do you have for yourself?
Yeah, I've got to echo what Gail said. That was one thing I learned in the last few years, that I'm serving people, and that changes right away. So my advice was to speak from my heart and to realize this is not going to break me or make me. That takes the pressure off. If I just say, oh, these are all friends out there. And if it is a big stage, look at the people. Keep looking at the people, pick people who are smiling. All of that really helps me. So that is what my advice is for myself.
I love that. Oh, I look forward to speaking in person again. I look forward to that. I love Zoom, don't get me wrong, but that in person and looking at the people. Thank you. Cheri Martin, what is your advice for yourself?
Oh gosh, I'd say first, always appreciate the opportunity to be able to address that they entrust me to come and speak with their audience. That is just very humbling for me. And also to prepare. That's going to build that confidence, because that's one thing that I've experienced in the past. I wasn't as confident because I wasn't as prepared. So I've learned to be more prepared and know that I do know my stuff. I'm passionate about what I teach and what I share on stage. But also, I've been told I bring a lot of enthusiasm about my topic on stage. So keep that enthusiasm going. I love what I do. So make it fun, because I think social is fun.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Cheri. Yes, I am learning. Practice, 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 prepare. I used to think probably I just needed a week. But big audience, I probably should start preparing 6 to 8 weeks in advance and then touch on it regularly. But we'll see as I develop myself as a speaker, and you people are inspiring to me. I had no idea. I was really expecting you would all come here and say, well, I had one experience. It was nerve-wracking. It was this, it was hard. It was great. But no, you are all experienced big stage people, and you're all regular people. And that's, you're all real women. And so I want to say to anybody who's watching, we can all do this. We can all do this. We can all, if you're called to be on a big stage, feel it and say yes to that call, and let's go for it. Join me in the journey to go for it. So everyone, y'all, and everybody who's watching, thank you so much for joining us for this Real Women, Real Purpose talk show live in the On Purpose Woman On Purpose Woman magazine and global community Facebook page. Next week on Thursday, June 2nd, I will be back to interview Jenny Robertson, and we're going to be talking about, I don't know if I just changed to speaker view. I meant to do it, and I don't know if people are seeing me or seeing Cheri, because I'm seeing Cheri. So I'm going to go back to gallery. Y'all got a little distracted with the technology there. I'm not perfect. Next week on Thursday, I'll be back to interview Jenny Robertson, the founder of the On Purpose Woman global community, about how to get out of your own way. This is a signature talk that she has taught. So join us and listen in to Jenny because she's a wise woman. And friends, if you loved this panel discussion as much as I did, share it with your friends. Share it straight from Facebook. I'm going to be uploading it to the On Purpose Woman Global Community YouTube channel. It's going to be on YouTube in the next 48 hours. So you can find it there and share it in even more ways from our YouTube channel. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe. We've got over 100, I don't even know how many amazing real women, real purpose talk show interviews there. And they are fantastic with wonderful women. So I will be seeing you all next time. Thank you again, Sharon, Shirley, Cheri, and Gail. You are awesome and rocking.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so
It was
much.
fun. I